Greetings, Countrysiders. I am here with you today because the stewardship team asked me to just reflect on stewardship from my perspective and maybe the way I personally come at stewardship. And so since this is the last message on stewardship I'll be giving you as your senior minister, I want to give you my most heartfelt and most meaningful message I could about this, where you know I have nothing to gain from how much or how little you give in 2021. But I've always, in my adult life, found that the biblical notion of tithing is a rock-solid promise made to us that when we give, we also receive back. Now, the televangelists always try to characterize this receiving back in terms of money, as if you tithe to their ministry and suddenly God will shower you with all the more money. Well, I'm not going to say that never happens. In my own life, I've found at times just amazing surprises with respect to receiving financial benefit that just seems to have no other explanation. However, I would note that there are many forms of wealth in this world. Money is only one of them. So joy, happiness, a sense of security, a sense of assurance, comfort, confidence in life, these kind of things, feeling connected to God, a feeling of being connected to other people, all these things are forms of real wealth that are far more important, most of them, than our actual financial wealth. So I'm not going to try to convince you that if you tithe to the church, you'll be showered with money. What I can say, based on about 30 years of experience with tithing, is that no matter how hard my family was doing in terms of our own wealth at times, and certainly when we were in our younger days, we had times where we were quite distressed over money, but we found that we kept tithing, and what we needed was always provided. I mean, we always ended up having enough when we thought, those times where we thought we would have nothing. So that's different from being just showered with money, but it does remind you in a constant way that you always have enough, that it's not an invitation to financial disaster. Now, what I will say also is in our younger years, we had a lot of debt from school and young children and so forth. And there was a period of time where we took that, a tithe is a 10% of your income. Now, if you wanted to find that by net or gross, that's up to you and God. But 10% tithe, where we had significant debts, where if we were to tithe a full amount of our income, based on our income, we would go into further debt. And I was helpfully reminded by my own pastoral mentor, Bruce Van Blair, that if anyone hates debt, it's God. And so if you are in financial straits, if you are in debt, and certainly during this pandemic, a lot of people are finding themselves in that situation, I would encourage you to make debt reduction part of the percentage of your tithe. So really try to think about, what would a tithe of your income be? What would it actually be? And then, if you are in debt, what could you do? Could you take 5% and of that 10% and give it straight to additional debt reduction until you are financially solvent enough to go back to or to start tithing in the 10% way. You may also find ways that God would lead you to use your tithe. For instance, you could give 10% to the church itself. You could give 5% to the church and tithe to a small group you're in. Imagine if you had a small group of people who were all committed to tithing and were tithing half of it to the small group itself for use where you felt the Holy Spirit was calling you. Maybe to engage in some project in the world, or to help the church in a certain way where it doesn't have the means to do that, or through helping each other in ways when somebody falls into a state of crisis. As I get older, I realize that idea of tithing is a bit more fluid. The 10% is, I found, is a rock solid number. It's a very assured number that helps me continue to feel connected to God and to my community of faith, and to the benefits that is giving to beyond myself. But I also realize that there are ways to do that, such as helping a person reduce their debt, or to include part of that tithe to a small group of people who will then do God's work together, decide on God's work together with that. So likely, I know most of you don't tithe, so this is quote unquote a hard sell, but bear in mind I'm not trying to sell anything, because I'm not going to benefit from whatever you do with your money, but I am concerned with how you benefit. And in the coming years, I would encourage you to take that more and more seriously, that this isn't just simply some money-grabbing scheme by the church or God or what have you. It's part of something that's been affirmed for thousands of years, actually, since the early days of Judaism, and it's continued through Christianity, and even in Islam, the concept of giving a percentage of your income is rock solid. It doesn't continue over thousands of years without providing real benefits. And again, those benefits won't be through getting rich off of your tithe to God, but you will find wealth, real wealth that matters to you. Some of it may come in the form of money. A whole lot of it will come in other forms that mean a lot more to you than money itself. In terms of the practical, how to do this, well, sign a pledge card and put an amount there, and know that also that if your circumstances change, Countryside has always been very, very happy to allow anyone to change that amount in light of their changed circumstances. If you lose your job, no one's going to be expecting you to give what you had pledged. In fact, they would encourage you to give less if that's going to cause you some financial insolvency. But you'll likely by now have a pledge card or have one in the mail to you or email. Look out for that. Fill it out. It's so important that we all fill out those commitments so that the church can plan for how it acts responsibly with money in the world, just as we expect ourselves to do planning for our own families in ways that are then responsible. Then on a final note, I just want to thank you so much for the time and the so many forms of wealth that you have given me over the last nearly 13 years rather, of being here. One of the great joys that I bring, that my family continues to benefit from our Scottsdale days, is that we continue to have a lot of close friends and relationships we maintained from those days. And we fully expect and hope to have the same experience with Countrysiders. You will always be in our hearts, and know that you will always have a friend in Oregon. So I hope you'll start planning your Oregon vacation soon. Much blessing upon you, and best wishes for your future. Keep Countryside strong, spiritually, financially, ethically, in terms of vision. I know you'll keep it strong because you have the Spirit in you. Thank you for being you.